Hey Tree Sprites. First off, I've learned that there were some issues with the Zoom link for yesterday's workshop. I had sent out an email prior to the workshop with the link to the Zoom meeting. So let me know in the comments if you either got the email but the link didn't work, or if you didn't receive the email at all, so I can do some troubleshooting in the background. Because I want to make sure that all of you that have registered for the workshop have access to the Zoom meetings. So please let me know so I can fix it. So today I wanted to talk about how unity within the Black community can change our experience here in America. We often get caught up in sentiments of powerlessness and hopelessness, having to constantly survive anti-Blackness and white supremacist ideology, an ideology that has spread vastly even beyond the white community, an ideology that even we contend with within our community. One of the reasons why we have not progressed further than we already have is because many of us still value proximity to whiteness over our own community. Many of us still seek and value white validation over the validation of our own culture. Many of us are still chasing white approval for our right to exist, when ultimately we have to realize that white supremacy is a form of narcissism and is therefore unsustainable. It has no actual biological backing and is only held up through violence and manipulation. This system will die one day. So what are you going to do when there is no longer white supremacist ideology for you to chase after? When proximity to whiteness doesn't mean anything anymore? The Black American community have been trained to uphold and to value everyone else's culture above our own. In fact, the system of white narcissism continuously tries to convince us that we don't have culture, when in fact, our culture is regularly stolen and sold. In fact, it has happened so often across centuries of American history that we don't even realize how much of mainstream American culture is Black American culture. What would be the effect if we all learned to value those within our community more than we value those outside of our community? Well, one outcome that I can easily imagine is that we would be much quicker to stand up for ourselves in the face of anti-Blackness. Many of us tend to tolerate it because we feel that if we stand up for ourselves, if we stand up for our integrity, for our dignity, for our humanity, then we will be punished for it in some way, typically in the form of losing a job position. Because we are the main power source for white narcissism, we have been convinced that we have to justify our humanity more than anyone else is expected to. However, unified, we would have much more confidence in ourselves and each other. We would not have to worry about being in spaces so often where we have to justify our humanity and our right to exist. Our own validation would be more than enough. Black American people are a wealthy community. There's a reason why white-controlled media constantly pushes this imagery of associating Blackness with poverty, when we have more than enough resources to sustain ourselves. And the more we pull into our own communities, the more we will be able to build our own institutions and facilities where we could do high-level work that we feel that we can only do in predominantly white institutions, especially in STEM and in bioengineering and biotech. When we turn into our own communities, we will learn that there are actually many Black American scientists, many Black American professionals, about 2 million Black American millionaires, and endless creativity and innovation amongst us. Believing in the lies of white narcissism will never elevate our community, or us as a people, or us as individuals. There has been this sentiment among some Black Americans that by distancing and separating themselves from Blackness will elevate them through the white lens. But it is exactly this distancing, ironically, that causes the skills, the intellect, and the knowledge to be taken out of our community and exploited by those outside of our community that could potentially cause us even more harm. At some point, we do need to realize that we are handing our oppressors ammunition to use against us. When we are unified, we no longer have to waste our time justifying our existence. We won't have to worry about gaining the resources that we need to survive from oppressive forces. knowing that they are available within our community. This is how every other community functions, except for Black Americans. And that's because, with the exception of Native Americans, we have centuries more of indoctrination and oppression than everyone else. We can't let the fear of past or present terrorism stop us from building and advancing. Every time we say, we can't have nothing for ourselves, that is a proclamation, a spell. With the amount of aggression and disenfranchisement that we face, we do not need to be putting more pressure on our own community. We have to understand that running from each other is running to our doom. The population of Black Americans exceeds the population of 80% of countries in the world. We have to stop buying into these ideas of smallness and incapability. We are immensely powerful, and our potential is vast and limitless. It would only take one mindset shift amongst us to change everything, to completely alter the trajectory of our present and our future. Our perceived limitations all exist in our imagination, which was installed into us through the imaginations of our oppressors, who, through ongoing psychological manipulation alongside violence, who are attempting to forcibly mold the world and the minds of the people into their desired reality. Is this really what you want? Is this really what you agree to? Or do you just believe that this is the only option? It's beyond time for us as Black Americans to challenge everything that we have been led to believe. No one outside of our community is ever going to give us the tools that we need to advance to our highest potential. That is something that only we can do for ourselves. Hatching a Black Dimension, a Black Imagination workshop, is happening this Sunday. Register in the link in the bio. I'll see you in Always.